Well, there are a number of things that have affected the heavy fluctuations of fuel. Number one, although it's now sounding like as a cliche, the Russian war, but which is generally true. The Ukraine and Russian war has seriously affected us in this industry because you realize, for example, if you take America alone, it was importing 8% of its oil use from Russia. If you go to Europe, a much higher percentage. So when they put sanctions on Russia, it had an effect. That's why prices skyrocketed. So the fuel that was coming from the OPEC countries, especially in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and the rest of the Middle East countries, was heading to Europe and America. So you find that the one that was trickling down in Africa and other countries was much less because, number one, they have a higher purchasing power. Number two, the mere factor and who they are and their relationship with the Middle East. So that skyrocketed prices. And the other thing that also still sounds like a cliche is the sudden opening up after COVID-19, when all the economies opened up at once and the demand was so huge. So there was a gap between supply and demand. That's one of the reasons that you saw prices skyrocket. But then you may ask yourself, why are prices now coming down? They are coming down mainly because of countries, strong countries that are not European or American, like China, like India, and a few others who have said we are not going to respect the American sanctions. We fear more of our people than the Americans. You find right now Russia has replaced Saudi Arabia as a major supplier with Russia. The same thing happening with India. So that's why you see prices have started coming down, because if India, which you can imagine how much fuel they consume, and Russia, and China reduce on importing from Saudi Arabia and the rest of the OPEC countries and pick from Russia, there is surplus that came to us. Hence the reduction of fuel prices. Of course, with reduction in prices, goods are more affordable right now because of transport costs have also are coming down and will continue to come down. But again, you see the prices of diesel for the first time in Uganda are skyrocketing, are going up. They are going up mainly because it goes back to the issue of supply and demand. You find we've been in the kind of a growing winter in North America and Europe. Now, diesel is used for generating power in winter and also for heating during the cold. It replaces gas for heating purposes in Europe and North America. So with when the winter now is subsidizing and we are heading into other seasons, the demand for diesel will slightly go down. And then also here, the prices will most likely reduce. Then the other thing that we note why diesel prices, it's not only in Uganda, by the way, prices worldwide of diesel have shot up. Mainly because of the Europeans and Americans, the stringent measures or demands they are put on diesel production. They have insisted on, now they are producing low sulfur diesel for the environmental purposes and also for humans. It's toxic for both the environment. It's no longer that heavy, dirty diesel that was being produced, that's exported in those countries. They have insisted on low sulfur diesel, and that means more expenses in refining, and even some refineries who couldn't meet those environmental concerns, either in America and Europe, closed or reduced on production, or went ahead and diverted to biofuels, biodiesel. Now, on Uganda's case, You know, there are many other factors other than the world events that end up affecting us. Number one, if you look on the Kenyan side, sometimes we are affected by Kenya. You find, like now in Western Kenya, as I speak to you today, in Western Kenya there is the KPC, the Kenyan pipeline, is unable to meet our demands. The fuel they are pumping to Western Kenya that comes to Kisumu and Eldoret. We send our trucks, sometimes you spend a day when they are waiting for fuel to come in because they don't have the capacity. The capacity is low. So some of those things affect us. Like today as I speak to you, our trucks are moving there and we are not sure if we are loading today or tomorrow. So with those capacities, it has an effect on us. Yes, it does have an effect on us. And I think even the diesel prices would be much higher if it was not the government policy. Because you know the price, the taxing, petrol is taxed, like for each liter of petrol, a Ugandan pays to the government of Uganda 1,450 shillings as taxes. Then for diesel, we pay 1,130 shillings per liter. There is a gap between petrol and diesel of 320 shillings. So that, imagine if it was not there, prices would be much higher than we are, or for diesel would be much higher than we are seeing today. There are some beautiful things that are happening in this market. I'm not a government spokesman, I'm an independent player, but there are some beautiful things that are happening. On Friday, we went to Jinja, where Uganda National Oil Company, the arm that is trading in oil on behalf of the government of Uganda, took full possession of a 30 million litre at Jinja, the Jinja storage terminal. So it may, in future, if the government gives them money and they full stock, and we have at least 30 million litres at that place, it will not be like in the past, where suddenly, when Kenya would close the border or there is a bottleneck in Kenya, you find that Uganda is dry within 2 days. At least, you know, in Uganda we consume daily 6 million litres. 6 million litres. So with 30 million litres, it could take us a week. Then there is also an independent player who has, off Entebbe Road, who has constructed a big storage terminal, which stores up to 70 million litres. Now, if we industrial players, because for them mainly what they are doing is to do more with transportation. If we bring in fuel and store there, and we have that capacity, it will not be like in the past, where Kenya, there is a problem in Kenya, Uganda, there is no fuel, prices, people are cheating, they are shooting, people, there is speculation and all that. So that will go a long way. Then we also heard from the Ministry of Energy and Uganda National Oil Company saying that at Buloba, in not a so distant future, they are going to construct a storage facility of 320 million litres. So with all those storages, you're going to find that we have almost enough fuel. If that one comes into place, the storage facility at Buloba, then Jinja, then that's of a private player, you find that we have enough fuel to run the country, at least for a month and some days.